My name is Bridget Erlinson. I graduated from Assumption College where I earned a bachelor's degree in English and secondary education. I then went to the University of New Haven where I earned a master's degree in education and my teaching certification. I then went to Southern Connecticut State University where I earned my 092 administrator certificate, and I'm presently at Southern working on my doctorate of educational leadership.
Wow, that's a lot of college.
It's a lot of college.
And I attended University of Connecticut for my bachelor's degree in physiology and neurobiology. And then I attended the University of Connecticut again to get a master's degree in curriculum and instruction. And then I attended Quinnipiac University to receive a 6th-year certification and an 092 for administration.
Mr. Latanzi. I am a math teacher at Hale-Ray High School. I went to University of Connecticut in Storrs, and I got undergraduate degrees in economics and mathematics.
My name is Chris Eckert. I'm the principal of Nathan Hale-Ray High School. My background in terms of education started at Merrimack College. I went there for my freshman year of college. I pursued a math degree, and then that changed very quickly. I transferred to Southern Connecticut State University where I finished up my bachelor in human performance or exercise physiology. I stayed at Southern Connecticut where I got my master's degree in the same thing, exercise physiology. And then when I met my wife, she said, "You can't make a living doing this, so you need to go back and get your teaching degree." And so I went to the alternate route to certification through the Connecticut State Department of Education, and I got my science degree from there. So I got my bachelor's basically or my certification in science through that ARC program. And then when I wanted to pursue leadership, I went to Central Connecticut State University for my educational leadership degree, master's degree, and my 6th year. So that's the background of my education and what brought me to here.
My name is Rich Gable. I am a math teacher here at Nathan Hale-Ray High School. So I attended Plymouth State College, which is now a university. It was in New Hampshire. Tunxus Community College in Farmington, Connecticut. American International College in Springfield, Massachusetts. And Central Connecticut State University twice. Once for some classes as an undergrad and got my graduate degree there. I did graduate for my undergraduate at American International College.
My name is Mary Little Finnegan. I am a school counselor at Nathan Hale-Ray High School. I graduated from Providence College in Providence, Rhode Island with a degree of Bachelor of Arts in English. I graduated from Fairfield University with my school counseling degree, a master's in school counseling.
One of my favorite courses was a seminar class where my professor was this unbelievably knowledgeable person in both literature and art, and he allowed us to kind of create our thesis topic. And I centered on beat literature and beat art. And it was one of the first times in any of my schooling, public and Assumption is a private college, that I was totally allowed to choose my topic and dig in however I wanted to. I was like completely immersed because it was something that was new information, but it was so important to me because I picked it. And I never had the opportunity to do that. Everything was so transcribed before. And we would meet as a group and we would just talk about what we found and like what we were struggling with. We had the opportunity to kind of bounce ideas off of each other, but we had so many diverse topics that you couldn't really I don't want to say help each other, but you were struggling in the same things or succeeding in the same way.
So hands down, my favorite class, other than organic chemistry, which people think I'm crazy for saying that, was definitely science methods. It's a course at University of Connecticut and the master's program that teaches you how to teach science. And I loved it. It was so much fun, and it was just a really interactive class.
A sports psychology class. The professor was awesome. She was an athletic trainer for Sacred Heart University at the time. She was a sports psychologist for the football team as well. And so she provided us with some cool insight about what goes through an athlete's. I was involved in sports all my life. I was playing football at Southern at the time. So I was utilizing some of the resources or some of the things that she was teaching us for me and for my mental health. And I didn't realize that's what was happening until later on in life. And one of the coolest things that she taught us about was a lot of people talk about the home field advantage of a team. You know, you're in your home facility and your friends and family are around you, but she presented the other side of the coin, saying it's a home field disadvantage in the amount of pressure that weighs on an individual playing at home and whatnot. That was my favorite class because I think the professor was awesome and the content was very relative to me.
Multivariable calculus. The reason being I really enjoyed the professor there. He was very helpful. He explained things very, very well in class. He used different colors. He was also kind of on the younger side, which was kind of cool for me to see someone who was sort of close to my age group teach things that were so cool and complicated, at least complicated at first. And it also, the class multivariable kind of just opened me up to the whole world that is advanced mathematics. And from there I kind of branched off and did a bunch of other really cool math courses. But that was kind of the turning point for me. Math-wise, was multi.
I would say one of my favorite courses taken in college was a Western civilization course, which I actually took at community college. And what was so interesting about that course was, and you would think, you know, being a math teacher would be a math course, but my professor was great. So he would come into class. It was sort of a stadium type class, where there was levels of rows of tables and desks, and he came into the class and he would dress up and he would act out all of the greats from the past, like Louis XIV. He'd come in dressed up and everything, and he'd act it out. So it was a fun class to attend because the professor was so engaging, and I probably learned as much as I've ever learned in a class because of him.
I loved my art history classes and my philosophy classes in college. There's so much that I didn't know about art, and I just loved learning about how people created the things that they created. And philosophy is just so interesting to me because of the way ideas are explored and all the different ways of approaching life.
I played softball for Assumption College, and so a lot of my memories kind of tailor around softball. But playing a sport in college also kept me on a very strict schedule, and it allowed me to have an outside outlet. When I was feeling like overwhelmed with school, I had an outlet and a group of people that if I wasn't a part of that team, I wouldn't have met in my daily interactions.
Well, all of my best friends I met in college, so I love the academic piece, obviously, but socially, and all of my girlfriends that are still my best friends, you know, the godparents of my children are all of my friends from college. So sophomore year, we all ended up living in a dorm together at UConn on North Campus, and it was just, you know, that's when I realized, like, I'm an adult and I get to pick my own friends, and you know, they're like my family now.
Well, again, I was involved in sports, so I'm going to resort right back to that. Senior day for me, we played against Assumption College, and my friends all came that I graduated high school with, and they came to see me walk up the field. That was the last time I was on the field with my grandparents, and my grandfather passed away shortly thereafter, and my grandmother passed away a couple years after that. So it was the last time I was on the field with my family, full family. And then the number of friends that came down to see the game, and we won. It was just an awesome, awesome atmosphere that I don't think I'll ever forget. That was a really cool memory. And again, I resort back to just football.
That's a good question. One very memorable college experience would be the chess club that I did at UConn. So I did that starting my junior year, and that met like every Thursday, I think, at one of the engineering buildings at UConn. And it was very cool because I got to talk with a bunch of like older adults about life and chess and like classes and that sort of thing. Most of these adults who were part of the chess club were like in engineering. They were engineers and they taught for UConn. And then I also got to hang out with a bunch of kids who were like either engineering students or whatever, but we had the chess thing in common, so I got to make new friends and I got to talk with new adults, and it was just a really good experience.
At Plymouth State, over one weekend, we had like, I forget what it was called. Might have been homecoming weekend or something like that. The administration put on this big pig roast, And they had all these, it was like a carnival festival type thing that went on. And they had all this great food. You wouldn't think that a college would have like great food. You always hear things like, oh, college food is terrible and everything. And maybe it wasn't that great, but on that day, it was festive, it was carnival-like, and the food was fantastic. So that was probably one of the first things that come to my mind.
There were so many great experiences there. Whether it was going to a poetry reading or hearing somebody, in politics having a conversation, going to concerts, or, just the whole experience of being at college was just really amazing. And I feel like I grew both personally and academically and intellectually when I was on the college campus.
I think there's often the misconception that you have to go to college to be successful. That's not necessarily true. I think if you choose your pathway is going to determine if you need to go to college or not. I knew I wanted to be a teacher, so that was the pathway I had to choose. So there's often that misconception. But also there's a misconception about you have to go to certain colleges to have kind of clout or to do what you want to do. Like you have to get into the biggest or best or most expensive school. Your college journey truly is what you make it. And whether that is you start at a trade school and you earn your certificate that way, you start at a community college and you earn your associates to get your gen eds, or you go jump into a private four-year college like I did, it's really what you make it. And if it's not working for you, find something that is. And it's okay, and it's not that hard to kind of move your path into a different direction.
There is a ton of reading, and I think that no matter how much reading you do in high school to prepare and think that you're able to, skim through the text or just, be successful without studying, in college, I think there is just, no matter what you're studying, there is a lot of work that goes into being prepared to be successful.
So a misconception is that you have to decide what you're doing when you graduate high school. I can't count the number of people that I know that I want to go to college to do X and they come out with Y or Z. Like, you name it, they've changed multiple times and I'm one of them, right? I think that's a common misconception, that you might have interests in something and pursue that, but you're going to change. I think another big misconception is that I have to go to a bigger school. A lot of people will graduate high school and say they wanted to go to a big name college. I interview people, we hire people very often in a school district, and that doesn't really matter as long as you're a good teacher, right? And so the name on the application or the name on the resume of the college or university is not as impactful on getting a job, at least from my perception, as some students might think.
I suppose a misconception would be that they're very difficult, and I don't think they're that difficult if you're willing to put in the time. Any class, I would say, is aceable as long as you are willing to put in the time and effort to get the grade that you want. You have to do what you need to do in college to get the grades that you want, but if you're willing to put in the time and effort, then you can ace any class. So college classes are not impossible.
I don't know if it's a misconception, but I think what I should share is that it's important to be a good time manager, because when you're in high school and K through 13, you have a schedule, a regimen. In college, it's not like that. You could have one class on a Wednesday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and your other courses might be on other days. So from time of waking up till 1 o'clock in the afternoon until after that, you literally have nothing to do. If you choose to do nothing. So being a time manager is of the essence, because you do have a lot more time. Unlike the regimen of the high school, class after class after class, you don't have that. And then you don't have people that are looking over you and saying, do your homework, or don't forget to get to class. You're on your own, you're independent, and you have to make those decisions for yourself, and you have to be able to say no when the time comes and prioritize your life. You will be pulled in all these other directions, and it's important for for you to be able to say no.
There is a school out there for everybody. I think what's most important is that you have to have a lot of different options to pick from, because we never know from year to year what school a student might get accepted to. So to have a lot of different options and to look at schools as to whether or not they would be a good fit for you, I think that is really valuable information for students to have.
Learn your learning. Learn about your learning process. Understand how you learn, what you need to be successful, where you struggle in your knowledge acquisition. Not just the subject, but like maybe the type of learning that you maybe struggle with, and work really hard on understanding your learning process. So whether you are going to sit in a philosophy class like I did many times with, 700 different human beings. It probably wasn't. It was probably 30, but it felt like 700. Or you are going to a specific hands-on learning institution. You have to know how you learn. And then not only are you going to be successful in your post-secondary, but you're going to be successful in life, because learning goes beyond, and it really becomes a tool that you have to go through and use as you move forward.
You really have to, I think, visit the college, and when students are there, and attend a class if you can, to make sure that it fits who you are and what you need, and not to pick a college for anyone else, not for your parents or for a boyfriend or to be with your friends. It's going to be maybe the best 2 or 4 years of your life. And so you really want to find a place where you feel like you're at home and it's comfortable for you. And I guess the other piece of advice is, if you realize it's not the right fit, it's okay to change majors, to change schools. I think my brother went to 4 different colleges before he found his right fit. So sometimes what you think is your perfect choice when you're a senior in high school, it might not be the right fit for you later. So it's okay.
Follow your passion, right? So your interests will lead you in the right direction to finding the right university in the right location and with the right degree. It'll drive you in that direction. Not what your parents might want you to think. Try new things. Don't be afraid to go in undecided and take multiple different types of classes in order to find that real passion of yours, and then dive in head first and give it all you got.
Don't be discouraged if you don't feel like you know what you want to do in college yet, because I didn't decide I wanted to do math until I was a sophomore or junior in college, and even then it was only I wanted to do economics then, and then I didn't decide to finish up my math degree until a little bit after that. So just don't be too dissuaded if you don't know what your skills are, what all your skills are in life, what they're going to be yet. It's too early to know, and you also don't know necessarily what you're going to enjoy the most in life, and you just have to be patient.
Find a good fit and take your time prior to deciding and going through the application process, is to actually go to the colleges and universities that you're interested in and get a real good feel for it, because the hardest thing to do, and take it from somebody who knows, is to go to one college and then either find that it's not the right fit, and then move on to another one, and then you have to transfer credits. Not all credits transfer over, and then all of a sudden you're older and life gets more complex. So you might have a companion in your life, you might have some money concerns in your life, and things just get a lot more complex. So I think the bottom line is this, is find the right fit and get your undergraduate degree or associate degree, or whatever it happens to be, as soon as you possibly can, instead of letting it go on and on over the course of many years.
There is a school out there for everybody. I think what's most important is that you have to have a lot of different options to pick from, because we never know from year to year what school a student might get accepted to. So to have a lot of different options and to look at schools as to whether or not they would be a good fit for you, I think that is really valuable information for students to have.